and we have a 29-minute video next by our, we call it the keynote address by Dushyanth Sridhar ji. Dushan Sridhar ji perhaps requires very little introduction. He is quite, so while I request my colleague Koti Garu to set the video up, and Koti Garu, if you could just share it to know that it is ready to play. So here's a little bit about Dushyanth Sridhar ji. Dushyanth Sridhar is one of the most sought after public speakers in Sanatana Dharma, who renders discourses in English and Tamil primarily. He has rendered over 3,500 discourses in 125 cities across 23 countries. His discourses are featured regularly in television channels, both national and regional. He enjoys a wide spectrum of over 1 million followers at his website, DESIKADAYA.org. I'm spelling it out so that when people type it, they can type correctly. DESIKADAYA.org. He is a very sought after panelist, both in news channels and otherwise. Abhinava e-Pathashala, his e-learning portal, has provided courses to over 7,000 learners across 40 countries without any discrimination, as he mentions. His Twitter handle is one of the selected few that is followed by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. He is a recipient of the coveted titles like Sarvakala Chudamani and Harikatha Bharati. He was declared a 30 under 30 by BITSA. He is an alumnus of BITS Palani. And with that, Koti Garu, I request you to play his video.
Manuja Dayapatram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimadvenkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathaya Munamadhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugma Rukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhuti Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adyasya Kulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimat Tadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhna Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanatha Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Jayatyashrita Santrasa Dhvanta Vidvamsa Nodayaha Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramavyoma Bhaskaraha. Namasadase. Namaskara. It is my saubhagyam to be speaking at the symposium organized by INDICA. There is a galaxy of intellectuals and scholars who are guiding INDICA for over 6-7 years now. And I have had the pleasure to be a part of many of its initiatives, and yet here is another one. The topic chosen for the symposium is to understand, delineate, and discuss about the various Dharma Sankatams that arise in our Vedic texts. When we say Vedic texts, it doesn't restrict itself only to the Vedas, because we are a plethora of scriptures that come under the umbrella of Sanatana Dharma. Absolutely, with no doubt, we have the Vedas, the Vedangas, the Upangas, the Dharma Shastras, the Itihasas and the Puranas, and the various other subjects, the allied subjects that go with it. So there has always been a debate about 14, 16 or 18 Vidyasthanams which are of immense importance in Sanatana Dharma. On the other hand, we have our Purvacharyas who say that the Vedas are so very petrified when they understand that its followers are not reading the Itihasas and the Puranas and are coming directly to it. In fact, the verse goes on to say that the Vedas are so worried that people may end up misinterpreting the Vedic aphorisms. Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabrahmayet goes the shloka. So, in order to not petrify the Vedic texts, I thought those texts that are inclusive of the Itihasas and Puranas that come under the purview of the Vedic texts should be regarded, respected, and debated upon. Of the Itihasas and Puranas, as per the order given in the shloka, Itihasa Puranabhyam, our Purvacharyas have said, compared to the Purana Vachanams or Vakyams, Itihasa Vachanam is treated as Mukhya Pramanam, be it Srimad Ramayanam of Valmiki or Sri Mahābhāratam of Vedavyasa or Krishna Dvaipayana. So both these Pramanas are of immense importance, but that doesn't undermine the importance of Vishnu Puranam or Bhagavatam or Padma Puranam or even Garuda Puranam and Varaha Puranam. Those Puranas are equally important, but when there is a conflict between two statements of the Itihasas and the Puranas on the same topic, it is said always give importance to the Itihasas. This is what I have learned from my Acharyas. That said, Srimad Ramayanam and Sri Mahābhāratam are important Itihasa texts for us. And between the two, one of the Acharyas of the 13th century says, Itihasa Sreshtamana Srimad Ramayanatal. So they say, of the Itihasas, Srimad Ramayanam holds much importance. In Srimad Ramayanam, do we have Dharmasakatams? There are many. In fact, over-attachment to Dharma by Prabhu Sri Ramachandra is what is also painful at times. In fact, time and again, the Astikas in Sanatana Dharma will be put forth to this very troubling question. If we say that womanhood, Matra Bhavana, is to be respected, then how can Jagannmata Sita, Nityaivesha, Jagannmata, Vishnu Shri, Ranapayini, Devatve, Devadeheyam, Manushyatve, Cha Manushi, says Parashara in Sri Vishnu Puranam. Parashara Bhatta says, Matar Maithili Rakshasi Stwadidadaiva Ardra Paradastvaya Rakshantya Pavanatmaja Lagutara Ramasya Goshti Krita Kakantancha Vibhishanam Sharanamityukti Kshamau Rakshataha. So that Maithili Jagannmata, while she was in her first trimester, she was pregnant, she was abandoned in the forest, and it was under the command of Rama and in the purview of Lakshmana that this incident had occurred. So time and again this question will be asked, if we respect women, if we respect motherhood, if we respect Jagannmata Sita, why did this happen to her? A variety of reasons will be thrown in front of us. In the 16th century, one of the devout poets of the South India called Narayana Bhattathiri in Guruvayur, Kerala, in Narayaniyam, I think Dashakam 35 suggests one aspect of Rama. He says, Soyam Martyavatarastav khalu niyatam Martyasiksharthameva Vishleshartir Niragas Tyajanamapi Bhavet Kama Dharmati Satya. So, at one point in time, Rama's inclination to adhere to the aphorisms in the Vedic texts in Dharma-shastras was so high, it had reached the zenith, the pinnacle, so much so, Vishleshartir Niragas Tyajanamapi. So he himself had to bear the pangs of separation because Sita was separated. So the innocent had to bear the brunt of it. Says Narayana Bhattadri. A similar thought has been put forth by Vedanta Deshika in Paduka Sahasram as well. So our Acharyas have themselves said that over-attachment to Dharma. So in Ramayanam, especially the protagonist, Prabhu Sri Ramachandra, we have over-attachment to Dharma. Kama Dharmati Satya. On the other hand, what is Dharma Sankatam? So we know dharmam, we know excess attachment to dharma. What is Dharmasankatam? Is it Sankatam to dharma, or is it Sankatam to us because of dharma? So our acharyas have given a general definition to it. Of course, it can be amendable by great scholars. That if there is a dharmam, a dharmic statement postulated by our dharma shastras, and there is another statement by another dharma shastra or the same dharma shastra about the same object or incident or samskara, and both of them are diametrically opposite to each other or don't agree completely, then between the dharmic statements there is a dharma sankatam. So dharma sankatam in the current day context is used in a different way. So even for mundane things, like for example, if my guest, if one of my friends has invited me to their places and there's another friend who has invited me, I won't be able to decide to which invitation to accept. Then I say I'm put in a dharma sankatam. First of all, the person who is inviting me is not inviting me for a great yajna or samskara. They'll be inviting me for a tea party. So in such cases, dharma sankatam need not be the word. You can say that I'm in a dilemma to attend, or to understand, to attend which party to. That is the maximum that we can say. That is not dharma sankatam. So there should be dharmam to say that there is dharma sankatam. Are there such situations? So we have heard general dharmic statements. Even Vedam says satyam vada dharmanchara. So speak the truth. Walk on the path of dharma. Follow dharma. These are all statements. But where is dharma sankatam in Srimad Ramayana? For which I thought I will take you through a sequence in Ramayana, and then we will understand towards the end of it what is dharma sankatam. In the commencement of Ayodhya Kandam, Dasharatha calls Rama to his sabha, to his antahpuram. He does that through his charioteer come minister called Sumantra. Sumantra goes and invites on behalf of Dasharatha Maharaja and tells that you have been summoned, you have been asked to come, Rama. And Rama agrees. So the moment Rama enters the Sabha Mantapam, Antahpuram, he does Anjalim. He puts his palms together, Anjalim Paramamudra, Kshipram Deva Prasadini. He prostrates to his father. Pravishannepacha Shriman Raghavo Bhavanam Pituhu Dadarsha Pitaram Durat Pranipatya Kritanjalihi. Pranipatya Kritanjalihi. The moment he saw his father, he fell on the ground. He prostrated Dandavat Pranamam and put his palms together. Then Dasharatha says, come here, Rama. And the father and the son, they start speaking. That time, Dasharatha says, Rama vruddhosmi dirghayur bhukta bhoga mayipsitaha annavadbhihi kratushataihi yatheshtam bhuri dakshinaihi anubhutani cheshtani maya veera sukhanyapi devarshi pitru vipranam anunosmi tathatmanaha na kinchinman kartavyam tavan yatrabhishechanat ato yutvamaham bruyam tanmetvam kartumarhasi. He goes on. The father says, you have performed many, many meritorious deeds. I have performed so many kratus, yajnams. I have performed so many dhanams. I have thereby satisfied my purvacharyas, I have satisfied my ancestors, I have satisfied my forefathers, I have satisfied the devas. Rama, I have led a very comfortable, fulfilling life. Then he develops this, all these statements to convey a certain thought. He has to tell Rama that I am planning to coronate you as the heir apparent. Then for that he has to give a reason. The first he says, Avashtabdam cha me Rama nakshatram darunair grahaihi avedayanti devajnavaha surya angaraka rahubihi. He then says that there are some comets that generally don't bring good news to the ruling king. And then he says that three have aligned in one place. Surya Angaraka Rahuvihi. Surya, sun, Angaraka, Mars, Rahubihi, the shadow deity. So this is how he says. So this is the first reason he gives, saying that the time is not so very auspicious, meaning that for the ruling king it is not very good. Thereby, tadyavadeva me cheto na vimunchati raghava tavateva bhishechasva chalahi praninam matihi. That is why Rama, at the earliest, I want to get your coronation done before my mind changes. So first he says that there are some reasons in the astronomical bodies. Then he says, before my mind changes, I have to do it. Next comes the next shloka. Viproshitascha bharato yavadeva puraditaha tavateva abhishekaste prapta kalo mato mama. See, we have to get this done at the earliest when Bharata is not there. Because, at the commencement of Ayodhya Kandam, it is stated after marriage, Bharata moved along with his wife Mandavi, and so did Shatrughna with Shrutakirti to Kaikeyi Desham along with Bharata's uncle Yudhajit to meet Kaikeyi Raja Ashwapati. So they lived there for many years together. So here he says, in the absence of Bharata, I have to get this done. Kintu chittam manushyanam anityamiti mematam, because we don't know how fickle-minded people are. So we have understood Dasharatha wanted to coronate Rama as the heir apparent. He called Rama and gave a variety of reasons, and finally he said, in the absence of Bharata, we have to do. Remember this. Now, on the other hand, in Kaikeyi's Anthapuram, Manthara says, Bharata deva Ramasya rajya sadharanad bhayam tadvichintya vishanasmi bhayabhita dhijayate. So, Manthara says, when will Bharata rule this kingdom? If you are telling that Rama has to rule, when will Bharata rule this kingdom? So then she says one particular line. She says, Bharata has equal rights on the kingdom as that of Rama. Of course, after that, she doesn't develop over that point. She just says, Bharata has equal rights over the kingdom as Rama. This is what Manthara says. Let us see what Kaikeyi has to say. Kaikeyi says, Bharataschapi Ramasya dhruvam varshashatat param Pitrupaita maham rajyam avapta purusharshabha. What are you saying, Manthara? Let Rama rule Ayodhya, and later, even if it is, she says, Varsha Shatam, even if it is a set of 100 years, later maybe my son Bharata will rule Ayodhya. She says, so she doesn't concur with Manthara's thought that Bharata has equal rights on the kingdom as that of Rama. She says, after Rama's period, Bharata will rule. Then she goes on, Rajyam yadihi Ramasya Bharatasyapi tattada manyatehi yathatmanam tatha Bhrataruncha Raghavaha. So, then she convinces herself. She says, if Rama manages to rule Ayodhya, it is as much as Bharata ruling on it. Initially, she says, after Rama's period, Bharata will get it. Then she says, if Rama is ruling, it is as much as Bharata ruling it. Then Manthara says, another important point. She gives a variety of reasons. Manthara's retort is, Tasman jeshthehi Kaikeyi rajyatantrani parthivaha thapayanyannavadyangi gunavatyastereshvapi. See, Kaikeyi, you have lost the plot. You are saying after Rama's time period, Bharata will rule. Remember that this rule, that after one son, the other son has to rule, is not there. And not all children to a king can become a king. She says the eldest one has to become the king. So it very well negates a previous point that she made, that Bharata has equal rights over the kingdom as that of Rama. Now let us keep this on one side. What is that? Dasharatha informs Rama that he'll be the heir apparent. Manthara tries brainwashing Kaikeyi that Bharata should rule. Kaikeyi retorts stating that if Rama rules, it is equivalent to Bharata ruling it. Then Mantara states that not all sons of a king have to become a king, and the eldest one has to become the king. But if this rule holds completely true, then we will have a conflict in Sri Mahābhārata where Pandu, despite being younger to Dhritarashtra, was made the king first. There the rule cited was a king has to be physically fit. So though we may say today in the current day context that specially challenged people have achieved great heights, true, which is 100% true. But in those days, there was a rule that if you are physically challenged, you are not entitled to the throne. So the one who is physically okay can only get to the throne. That is why Pandu had to overtake Dhritarashtra, and due to which there was a great vairi, vendetta for many, many generations to come. Let's keep that aside. So whatever I've spoken in the Ramayana comes in the first few chapters of Ayodhya Kandam. Ayodhya Kandam is a big Kandam, like Yuddha Kandam, it is a big canto. Towards the end of Ayodhya Kandam, when Bharata goes to Chitrakuta, which is on the banks of river Mandakini, he prostrates at the feet of Rama. He laments over the death of his father and then expresses his anguish that Ayodhya is now in his hands, and he clearly states that without Rama, Ayodhya will not be ruled by him. It is Rama who has to come back to Ayodhya and rule. So this is what Bharata says. Now, after giving a variety of reasons as to why he had to stay back in the forest, Rama gives a beautiful anecdote. He says, Pura bhrataha pitanaha samataram te samudvahan Mata mahe samashrawshi rajya shulkam anuttamam. He says, Bharata, I will tell you something that you have never known till now. Your mother, Kaikeyi, the daughter of Ashwapati, Maharaja of Kaikeyi Desha, married our father, Dasharatha. You know how? Dasharatha was extremely bent upon marrying Kaikeyi. And Matamaha, our maternal grandfather said that only if you give in dowry that the child born to you through Kaikeyi will rule Ayodhya, I will give my daughter. And our father, you know about his promises, he promised immediately. But the word that Valmiki deploys through Rama is, he had promised our maternal grandfather. But the grandfather was a great philosopher. Ashwapati Maharaja has been spoken of in the Vaishvanaradhikaranam of Brahma Sutras. Great man, great person. But Kaikeyi's mother has not been spoken in a very good taste by Sumantra in the middle of Ayodhya Kanda. So she was not a very soft person, a righteous person to deal with. So here, if it is said that the promise was made to the maternal grandfather, it could have been induced through the maternal grandmother, which is Kaikeyi's mother. Now, that said, Rama mentions one important point, that before getting married, this dowry was sought. This commitment was sought that whoever is born to Kaikeyi through Dasharatha has to rule the kingdom. Then he continues. It is only after that Bharata, Deva asurecha sangrame jananyaitava parthivaha samprahrushto dadau raja varam aradhita prabhu. Later in one yuddham, when your mother Kaikeyi assisted our dear father Dasharatha, Dasharatha promised to give 2 boons, which she didn't seek at that point in time. She sought those 2 boons now, and in that one boon is that her son Bharata should rule Ayodhya. What Rama tries to tell Bharata is, though it may seem to you getting angry that your mother has sought this varam now, there was already a previous commitment made by our father. That was during the marriage to marry Kaikeyi, where he said that whoever is born to Kaikeyi, that person shall rule Ayodhya. So there is a previous promise. In that case, this varam is nullified because there is already exists one promise in place. So whichever is first, that will take prominence. Just because Bharata doesn't know, it doesn't negate the very commitment made by Dasharatha in marrying Kaikeyi during or prior to their marriage. So Rama tries to say, forget the varam sought now, there is a commitment made before. It is for this reason, at the start, when Dasharatha calls Rama, he says, Kintu chittam manushyanam anityam iti mematam prapta kalo So when Bharata is not there, your coronation has to be done, because he would have known, had Bharata known that I have made a commitment to his grandfather that he will rule Ayodhya, then he may come and disturb the peace and tranquility in the Sabha Mantapam. So let me make my son the Yuvaraja, then let me handle as and when the problem comes, I'll cross the bridge, we say, right? So I'll cross that bridge later, he must have thought. That is why he said, in the absence of Bharata, we have to get the Pattabhishekam done. Manthara did not know about this, else she would have cited this to Kaikeyi. So Manthara did not know about this commitment made to Ashwapati and his wife by Dasharatha. That is why she says the eldest son has to rule Ayodhya. Had she known, she would have never said this. So Kaikeyi was not aware and Manthara was not aware. So Bharata was also not aware, whereas Dasharatha was aware. Now Rama tells this, so Rama is also aware that Bharata should be ruling Ayodhya. Now comes a question. Sir, if we say that the commitment has been previously made, then Kaikeyi did nothing wrong. Though she didn't use this particular rule to ask for Bharata's right, she used some other rule, but at the end of the day, Bharata had to rule Ayodhya. True. But how will this Dharmasankatam arise? The eldest has to rule, and that too when the eldest has no deformity. Unlike Dhritarashtra, there is no deformity in Rama, so he has to rule. So this is Dharmam. The eldest has to rule. The second is, there's another dharmam that you have to fulfill the promise made to another person. That is also Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, which is made to Kaikeyi's father by Dasharatha. So in this Dharmasankatam, how do we resolve? So even then, the commentators state that it was Rama who was supposed to rule Ayodhya. No, sir, Dasharatha has promised that I will marry Kaikeyi by making this promise. That is when the commentator Govindaraja in Bhushanam has a commentary to offer. He says, Nanu Dasharatha Udvahakale Kaikeyi Putraya Pratishrutam Rajyam Ramaya Datu Kathayam Udvaktana Satyam Udvahakale Ratisamprayoge Pranatyaye Sarva Dhanapahare Viprasya charthepyanritam vadeyuhu panchanritanyahura patakani iti nyayena dosha abhavam kriti nidhaya tatha kritavan iti na doshaha. Beautiful commentary. He says, the promise made by Dasharatha prior to marriage for the sake of the marriage will not hold water, because there is a dharma vakyam, shastra vakyam. Udvahakale rati samprayoge, for the sake of marriage, if a promise is made. Rati samprayoge, during the intercourse, when the man and the woman make love, when that promise is made, during that process, when the promise is made, pranatyaye sarvadhanapahare, then he gives a few more instances where life has to be saved and so on and so forth. In such instances, he quotes 5, Panchanritanyahura patakani, in such dire scenarios when commitments are made to protect somebody's life, while the husband and wife are making love, while whichever party is very bent upon marrying the other person for the sake of fructifying that love, if a commitment is made, that need not be followed. So there is a Dharma Sankatam here. Dharma Sankatam is whether Rama should be made a higher apparent, or the boon given to, or the commitment given to Kaikeyi's father be upheld. The Dharma Sankatam is resolved this way because that commitment made by Dasharatha to Kaikeyi's father was that for the sake of marriage. So for the marriage to happen, he made that. So it was not made with lot of deliberation and consultation. In such a scenario, Bharata refusing the Rajyam and Rama refusing to accept the Rajyam at that point in time and telling him that later he'll come and rule, help resolve this Dharma Sankata. So at the end of the day, if you ask, Rama ruled Ayodhya, yes, but not then, later. Did Bharata rule Ayodhya? Because for him it was a Dharma Sankatam to rule without the presence of his eldest brother. So he did not rule. If Rama had ruled, then he will be working against the commitment made by his father to Kaikeyi Raja. If Bharata ruled, he will be working against his own conscience to rule Ayodhya when his eldest brother was alive. So neither Rama ruled nor Bharata ruled. For that interim period, for that interval period, the transition period, Paduka Devi ruled. So Paduka Devi, the Padukas of Prabhu Sri Ramachandra, helped resolve this Dharmasankatam. So there are many, many instances in our Puranas where there is Dharmasankatam. I'm sure through this symposium, we will get to hear, listen to, understand and learn from various scholars, Vidwans and Vidushis across the subcontinent on what is Dharmasankatam, what are the instances that they cite from our Itihasas and Puranas based on traditional Acharya commentaries, and how it is being resolved. So there is Dharmasankatam. That Dharmasankatam has to have a resolution as well, a solution. So we'll get to listen to it more. Thanks once again to INDICA for giving me an opportunity to speak. Namaskara. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.
Namaste, and thank you so much, Dushyanth Sridharji. Though you're physically not connected to us through the Zoom conversation, we really appreciate the fact that you took time out, gave us a recording which is so focused on the topic of our symposium, taken one very, very clear example, delineated really what Dharmasankatam is, using this wonderful example, but not just limited to that one, and really showed how how to analyze this. So, like I just shown in the slides before, that even if the word Dharmasankata is not found attested in the critical edition of the Ramayana, we just saw a very good example of how it can be seen as and how a particular example can be analyzed. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dushyanth Sridharji.